Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the studentloanjustice.org live stream for Wednesday, June 15th. What's going on? How did this month get so behind us? If you're new to the group, welcome. What took you so long? Tell everyone you know about this group, studentloanjustice.org. Tell everyone you know with student loans. If you know 5 people with student loans, 4 of them were screwed on their student loans before the pandemic. Tell them about this group. Tell them to do our daily actions. That would be very helpful. So I'm going to get right into it, folks. A couple of announcements. First of all, get a shirt. Lisa in Los Angeles has started a fundraising storefront for us, and we're selling these awesome hats. Not this hat, but haircut, by the way. Hope you like that. Selling cool hats and shirts right now. We get like $10 per sale or $12 or something. These are limited edition, very limited collector's items. So the hats are bit.ly/cool, COOL, SLJ hat. They're distressed hats, by the way, which is very appropriate. But I think the more pressing thing Lisa says is that we still need to sell 8 more shirts in order for them to actually make the shirts. It's like one of those things. I said they're a very limited edition tonight. bit.ly/SLJ shirt. I believe that's right. Let me just make sure. So please do that. I'm also very pleased to announce that we have received our first video submission of people destroying their student loan documents on video. It's a neat little 30-second video from Doug. So thank you, Doug. And maybe I'll post a link to that video. It's on YouTube if you go to our YouTube page. But I will post it in the comments below this. So yeah, it's SLJ shirt, bit.ly/SLJ shirt. They're kind of spendy. I'm not going to lie. In fact, they're very spendy, if I'm being honest. But I looked at the shirts and they're very high quality shirts, and obviously it's for a good cause. So yeah, check out Doug's video. Make one like it. We're kind of hoping to bring together a bunch of videos by July 4th. And we're getting ready for July 4th, as you can see. Think of creative, fun, clever ways that you can destroy your student loan papers. I think that'll make a statement. And I don't want to divulge too much, but I will just say that Doug has paid off, I think he's in his 50s or maybe 60s even. He's a 30-year veteran. He's already paid double what he borrowed in student loans, and he still owes double. So if I could quote Doug directly, I think not one more dime is part of his quote. So we love that stuff, guys. People need to know how badly the citizens are being wrecked by this unconstitutional lending beast. And it is a beast. And the founding fathers, I am certain, are looking down on us and saying, why are our people so weak? Why did they not toss this lending system and everything that goes along with it in the garbage can, or in Boston Harbor, I should say, years or decades ago? Founding fathers were very concerned about predatory lending in this country, be it at the hands of private banks or at the hands of government-sponsored entities. You know, the founding fathers, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Robert Morris, they were screwed under debt to Britain, friends of the king, trading companies, ship owners, etc. And they were very worried about the student loan catastrophe happening. And believe me, guys, if they can do to other loans what they did to student loans, namely take away bankruptcy protections, take away statutes of limitations, limit fair debt collection practices, make truth in lending laws toothless, like not even applicable. In other words, if they can weaponize other loans like they have student loans, This is the camel's nose under the tent, guys. And there are some bad people in this country who would very happily conquer and enslave this country by debt. So the fight we're fighting isn't just for us. It's for 44 million other people in the country who don't know about us, and they won't know until you tell them, studentloanjustice.org. But hundreds of millions of people are going to follow in our footsteps who haven't even been to college yet. But more than that, everyone. I hear murmurs from time to time of them doing the same thing they did to student loans vis-a-vis the bankruptcy laws to medical debt. And there's literally no end to where that winds up. They could take bankruptcy away the same way they did the student loans. They could take bankruptcy away from every type of probably consumer debt. I somehow think they're not going to touch the corporate bankruptcy laws, aka the Sackler family and other high-profile bankruptcy filers. But guys, I'm telling you, we cannot let this injustice stand. So forget about everything else you hear the haters say today. It's all nonsense in the first place. But don't forget that this lending system is illegitimate, it's unconstitutional, and illegitimate. And it's not your fault. This is not a bad borrower problem here. This is a bad lending system. This lending system is broken, catastrophically failed. We didn't break it. It tried to break us. And now it's done. It's finished. It's toast. It's fait accompli. The pandemic was the nail in the coffin of this lending system. And thank goodness. I only hope that with your help, and I mean that in as strongly as I can say it, that with your help, and probably only with your help, we will get this thing a clean demise, a clean death, a clean send-off. Not a messy, disgusting, obscene, socially harmful, cataclysmic even, years-long, painful unwinding. We don't want that bad ending. We want the good ending. And it's time for student loans in this country to be reset and rethought, reinvented, whatever you call it. Now, we're agnostic as far as what should take the place of this failed lending system. There's a lot of good ideas out there, and I'd be happy to talk about that if you have any ideas. And by the way, if you have any questions or comments, I love taking your questions and comments because otherwise I'm just a talking head, talking bald head, and I hate that. So if you have any questions or comments, throw them out. I'm happy to respond to them. A lot is going on right now, guys. I almost don't know where to begin. The most important thing you need to know is that we're fighting for two things: bankruptcy, the return of constitutional bankruptcy rights. That lies at the core of everything. We're not going to get meaningful student loan cancellation unless and until we get meaningful student loan bankruptcy rights. The leverage of bankruptcy returned to us. That is the most important thing I will tell you tonight. And we're also fighting, for cancellation. As I said, it's time for these loans to go. In fact, Donald Trump's biggest mistake as president was not canceling all of these loans that he possibly could by executive order back when he had the political cover to do it. Back when they were doling out trillions of dollars in PPP loans, mostly to wealthy people, by the way, 75%. And they had all kinds of political cover to do that. Donald Trump could have done it then. He would have won re-election. He didn't. He lost. And that's how that went. And Donald Trump ought to be kicking himself for not doing that. Kitty. Look at that kitty. And so too, Joe Biden, he has made a massive mistake, but not by not getting rid of this lending system quickly, cleanly, in one fell chop on day one as president. He should have done that, and we'd be in far better shape today. He would be in far better shape today, politically, certainly. Him stringing us along and this 10,000 nonsense, this up to $50,000 nonsense. It's all nonsense, guys. They're stringing us along. And for a lending system that is not going to come back, it is not. You know, I often say that 75 or 80% of the borrowers were underwater on their loans before the pandemic. I'm here to tell you that that has been upgraded to 85%. And that's as of November 2020. And I was stupid enough to somehow miss the article, but Wayne Johnson, the chief operating officer of the federal lending program under President Trump, speaking of Trump, he told me just before the pandemic that about 80% of all borrowers were underwater on their loans. And that means that either they were not paying, and that's way more than half, by the way, more than half not paying before the pandemic, or they were paying and paying and paying, but their loan balance was going up, not down, up. So 80%, Wayne Johnson told me, of all borrowers were never going to be able to repay their loans before the pandemic. And I see now Wayne has upgraded that percentage to 85%. And that is as of well over a year ago, by the way. And thanks to Gordon Wayne Watts for digging up that little nugget. That's a very important data point for us to point to. Sorry, I missed it. So yeah, guys, the lending system is done. And the best thing for all involved, the lending system is not coming back. It's just not. I would be stunned if 20% of the borrowers ever resume paying on their loans, if they ever try and turn the loans back on again. I think they probably will. I don't have a crystal ball. But now that we know what Wayne Johnson said about 85% of all borrowers being distressed, that brings the number of distressed federal student loan borrowers in the country before the pandemic up from 36 to something like easily 40, around 40, 39, 40 million of the 45 million borrowers. Now, if you extend that to include private student loans, both privately owned and privately guaranteed, and also privately owned and federally guaranteed, we're talking about 45 million distressed student loan borrowers in the country. And when I mean distressed, I mean they're losing sleep over their loans. I mean, before the pandemic or during the pandemic, they were either unable to pay before the pandemic, or they were paying, but their loan balance was going up. So 45 million freaked out student loan borrowers, around half of whom are Republican or independent. That is by far the largest untethered voting bloc in U.S. history. 45 million distressed student loan borrowers is nearly enough to elect a president outright. And we vote, by the way, we vote in at far higher percentages than average, certainly. So the Democrats and Republicans are both playing with fire. And right now, they are both trying to either piss us off or make us feel horrible. The Republicans are trying to make us feel horrible. Oh, why'd you borrow so much? Oh, your fault. You borrowed too much. Shame on you. And this is the most hypocritical thing in the world, by the way. You know, the Republicans claim to be fighting for smaller government, but they're doing exactly the opposite by cheerleading, taking the side of defending this big government loan monstrosity. And on the other side of the coin, the Democrats are teasing us. I don't think there's any other word for it. Biden's been in office for 1.5 years now, and he has done jack shit. They will point to the 18 or $24 billion that they've canceled. That's nothing. In an average year, about $100 billion in interest clicks off, is added to the federal student loan portfolio, not to mention the $100 billion a year that they lend out. So canceling $24 billion is nothing over 1.5 years. They could do that forever, and the lending thing would still grow by $85 billion a year. That's just stupid. Okay, guys, so I'm looking for your comments. Sorry to be keeping you waiting on this. As I said, if you're watching this on Twitter, Facebook, I will very happily read your comments and respond to them. I love the tough comments, by the way. If there's any haters out there, I love destroying haters live on air. So bring it if you have it. But by the way, you don't have it because we are right and you are wrong and you ought to be ashamed of yourself. But bring it, please. We love the tough questions. So there we are. So yeah, guys. Kelly Smith, how are you, Kelly? Kelly says people keep posting on Twitter about people over 50. It should be age 40 and older. Everyone over 40 has been paying over 10 years. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Kelly, but here's what I can tell you. Older people outnumber younger people with student loans. And on average, they owe far, far more than the younger crowd, despite having borrowed far, far less years, many years, or even decades ago. So people over 35 outnumber people under 35. And on average, they owe about 150% more. People over the age of 50 outnumber people under the age of 25 with student loans. And they owe 300% more on average, despite having borrowed far less many decades ago. And I'm just looking at our roster here of people on the live stream tonight, and I can see a lot of them fit into that certainly the over 35 crowd, probably many, if not most, of the over 50 crowd. And their numbers are ridiculous. One of our borrowers originally borrowed $26,000. She's repaid nearly $100,000. She owes $132,000. She's like 59 years old, struggling to save for retirement. And Kelly says, I am 47. I owe $120,000. Only borrowed $70K. Exactly. And I would bet that you've paid back a good bit of that as well, Kelly. Kelly says, the Twitter posts I see say Biden should wipe out all loans for everyone over 50. It should be 40 or more. Oh, okay. Kelly, first of all, I agree with you. I'm over 50, so I'm inclined to agree with you. But guys, we don't slice and dice the borrowers. We don't pit the borrowers against each other. This lending system is failed for everyone. And quite frankly, given that only 15% of the borrowers were ever going to actually be able to repay their loans, I'm very happy to see those very lucky few people get something for free from the government. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Look at all the free money that we doled out in PPP loans. Look at all the free money we doled out, trillions in tax cuts for the rich. Look at the 43,000 millionaires and billionaires who got on average a $1.6 million pandemic stimulus each. So this lending system is catastrophically failed for everyone. It has no business even existing anymore. It needs to be taken to the bath and drowned in the tub. And quite frankly, the people in Washington, D.C., at least the good ones, they know exactly what I'm saying. There's no good reason to pit the borrowers against each other and say, oh, what's the cutoff? What's the age limit? That's stupid. It's arbitrary. It's stupid. It's similarly stupid to say, oh, should we cancel $10,000 per borrower? Or up to $50,000 per borrower, which is ridiculous and swamp talk and a trick, by the way. Shame on Elizabeth Warren. And I'm sorry to have to say that, because Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer were the two people that took our concept of canceling student loans by executive order and made it an actual thing. So we're thrilled that they did that, but we are very unimpressed that they inserted this arbitrary up to $50,000 clever lawyer words into the whole thing. Up to could mean anything. And we've been around for 17 years, guys. And I'm here to tell you that up to $50,000 will come to mean almost nothing for almost everyone, because the Department of Education has no desire or intentions of actually canceling any loans. The biggest trick in the world that we've seen played in the past, and the very trick that they are trying to foist on us right now, and this is the most important thing I will say, which is it's simpatico with what I said earlier. They are trying to foist another fake loan cancellation gimmick on us and keep bankruptcy gone from the loans. That is what they are trying to do. They did this in 2007. They did this in 2012. They're trying to do it again right now. The play is this. They roll out, Biden calls a press conference, says, okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am now going to cancel up to $50,000 in student loans or something like that. And oh, by the way, we're going to revise our whole repayment thing. We're going to do a new income-driven repayment plan. It sounds so great. You only have to this number of years income. We're going to revise everything. Oh, and we're going to take your loans out of default. We're going to do all those things. Everything's going to be fine, fine, fine. So vote for us. And then, and oh, by the way, bankruptcy remains gone from the loans. And then you know what happens? Everyone gets screwed. The Department of Education does what it has ever done, which is to disqualify 99+% of the borrowers out of those various programs and leaves them owing usually far, far more than they ever owed in the first place. That's how that goes. We are not stupid. We will not be fooled again, not by the Democrats, not by the Republicans. We pretty much hate both parties at this point. And we are a fiercely nonpartisan group, by the way. And I maybe want to add on to that. You know, we've got there's a lot of Democratic operatives out there, and they hate us because they're like, no, the Republicans are way worse than the Democrats. You got to make sure that the Democrats hold their power in November. Otherwise, you're going to definitely be screwed. And to them, I say, I'm sorry, go F yourself. Do you think we're stupid? The Democrats have historic and rare control of both House and Senate and the presidency. Right now, they haven't had this control since Barack Obama was president in 2008. Now, Barack Obama wasn't a great president on student loans. Don't get me wrong. But at least he got health care done, right? He did something with his historic control of both House and Senate. He did something. Joe Biden has done nothing. And Barack Obama never promised to cancel student loans. President Biden can't promise to, among other things, eliminate the student loan debt of people who went to public college, earn less than $125,000 a year. And he made a lot of other promises as well. We're not buying that shit, guys. And to all the Democratic, and we don't hate the Democratic Party. In fact, I'm technically a registered Democrat, but we don't have any love for either party. It's a good cop, bad cop thing. The Republicans are the bad cop. The Democrats are the good cop. But at the end of the day, the uniparty wins, and the entrenched interests in Washington, D.C. have made sure that this predatory lending beast rolls on yet another few years to crush yet another generation. We're not doing that. So and there's nothing that any Democratic operative, people like, what's her name? Melissa something. Anyways, there's nothing that they can do or say to spin the reality of the situation away. The reality of the situation is that there's 40+ million distressed borrowers in the country, and most of them voted for Joe Biden. Many of them voted for Joe Biden in the expectation and belief that he was going to cancel loans broadly, maybe even totally, the way he spun his campaign promises. Those people are now all pissed at Joe Biden. And there's nothing that any Democratic operative or me or anyone, any human on this planet, or any group of humans on this planet can possibly say, no matter how hard they try to hypnotize the public and social media engineering, whatever. Nothing they can do to alter the fact that the Democrats are going to be crushed in November on the student loan issue. All those people that voted for Biden, they're going to be very disinclined to vote for Biden in November. And make no mistake, it was us that caused the Democrats and Biden to win very important states like Georgia, like Michigan, like Pennsylvania. And the numbers don't lie, guys. 45+ million or 40 million distressed borrowers who vote. I can only think that at a minimum, probably at least 8 million people who otherwise wouldn't have even voted or maybe who would have voted for Trump, they voted for Biden nationwide, just based on that one promise, those several promises alone. So the Democrats have their opportunity right now, before, not after, before November, to do what they're going to do. And then we'll decide. That's how that is going to go. And if they do nothing, if they say, oh, yeah, here's our plan that extends through the midterms, that's bullshit. They're not going to, people aren't stupid. We're not stupid. Some people are stupid, but by and large, people generally have a pretty good sense about things. And if the Democrats think they can blow that kind of smoke up our ass, they've got another thing coming. And so to all the Democratic operatives out there, I will only say, quit wasting your time arguing with us on Twitter about how we should do blue no matter who, or whatever their deal is. It ain't gonna happen. Your time is far, far, far better spent convincing your party and your president to do what the fuck they said they were going to do before the last election. Pardon my French, but I feel very strongly about that. And I know a lot of people in our group do also. That's just the reality. So take that for what it is. Believe me now, hear me now, believe me later, whatever. That's just, it's a fact. And it does no Democratic operative any good to waste their breath arguing with us. They're not going to be able to shave that frowny face into even a neutral face, or let alone a smile. There's not enough erasers or ink in the world to make that little spin thing happen. No, ain't gonna happen. Can't happen, won't happen, ain't going to happen. We live and breathe this stuff, guys. We have a pretty good, very good finger on the pulse of the people, and we know how far people will go, and we know what Biden did. We have a pretty good feel for what the zeitgeist is doing. And if anybody disagrees with me, now you can talk about other issues all day long. Yeah, a lot of Democrats will still vote for Biden because other issues. But guys, distressed student loan borrowers, those 8 million people who went out of their way to vote in the first place, let alone and vote for Biden, where many of them could have gone the other way. No, it ain't gonna happen. It's the midterms. And by the way, Trump is not on the ballot this time. There's no boogeyman to point to. Just as a practical political matter, the Democrats are toast if they don't go big. And by big, I mean go very big. And by very big, I don't know what I mean by that actually, but I know the biggest is not only total cancellation of all federally owned student loans, but also the immediate return of bankruptcy protections to all student loans, both federal and private. That would be the biggest you could do. That's the most I could envision happening. To that end, there's a bill in the Senate right now, S-2598. The bill is bipartisan, believe it or not. And as I said, we're a nonpartisan group. If you're a Republican, you're very welcome here. If you're a Democrat, very welcome here. If you're a Neapolitan, very welcome here. We don't care. I can't think of a party that would not be welcome in this group. No matter what your political stripes are, you are very, very, very welcome in this group. But S-2598 is the most important thing that we have to fight for right now. The bill returns standard bankruptcy protections to federal student loans that are more than 10 years old. It's very important. This has been decades coming. The bill is bipartisan. It's got 2 Republicans on the bill. That's incredible. Republicans out there are now starting to call for the return of bankruptcy to student loans. We've almost never seen that. It's been an extremely rare thing. This bill is the most important thing. As I said earlier, the most important thing I'll say, simpatico with everything, the other 2 most important things. Repeating the first thing is worth repeating it. We are not going to see Joe Biden cancel student loans meaningfully unless and until we get the threat of bankruptcy returned to student loans. I just don't see it happening, guys. I have to be a realist, and what I see is Biden doing a whole bunch of nonsense and a whole bunch of nonsense talk and stringing us along through the as the politics are looking now, through the summer, maybe even probably through the midterms. And at most, what we can expect from Biden is this fake up to $50,000 loan cancellation right as early voting begins. That's probably what we're looking forward to. Those are the political dynamics. The only thing and that's all fake. That's the trick that we don't want played on us. The only thing that changes that calculus, that balance of power, or whatever you want to call it, is us getting the leverage of bankruptcy returned to us, as the founding fathers called for in the Constitution, by the way, ahead of the power to declare war, ahead of the power to raise an army. S-2598 is by far the most important thing that anybody with student loans should be fighting for right now. Don't believe those DNC operatives like Melissa. Don't believe anything anybody says. Anybody who throws shade on bankruptcy is working for the bad guys. Guys, that's just true. And I hope you'll take my word for it, but listen to any of the people on our group who also know that intrinsically, because they have lived and breathed this problem for some even more years than I have. But we've been around for 17 years, guys, and we've lived and breathed this stuff. So I hope you will benefit from our wisdom and not listen to the Forbes magazine people and the fake charlatan people who want you doing nothing. They want you to sit back and do nothing. Our opposition wants you to do nothing. They want you to be sitting there waiting, watching, and worrying, wringing your hands, reading Forbes magazine, which is just disgusting, but just propaganda, and doing nothing. That's what the bad guys want. Please don't give them the pleasure. If you forget everything I said tonight, remember this. Go to our website, studentloanjustice.org, and do our daily actions. And if you've never done daily action before, do a month worth of daily actions. You need a Twitter account for most of the stuff. Maybe a phone or email for the other stuff, but 80% is Twitter. You can do a month worth of daily actions in probably less than an hour. You can do a week's worth in less than probably 10 or 12 minutes. You got to have a Twitter account, though. Sorry about that. But these are your loans, and this is your problem, ladies and gentlemen, and you know that's true. And we're not going to fight this battle for you. Sorry about that. That's not the way this works. But these are your loans, and this is, as I was saying. We've got a ton of comments here, guys, and let me just apologize in advance if I can't get through to all of them tonight. Vanjie says, cancel them all, every cent for everyone. Yeah, that's at what point is there no baby left in the bathwater? Like 85% failure. The 15%, that's just call it stimulus, call it whatever you want. Cancel all of the loans. Cancel the lending system. The federal government obviously has no business being in the lending business. And there are good people in Washington, D.C., to finish your thought, who know what I know. And they know that this lending system has failed. And they would love to spend maybe the next 6 years reinventing higher education in this country from a blank slate and doing it right this time. They would much rather do that than spend the next 2 years pretending that this failed loan cataclysm is viable. It's not. It's illegitimate. It's done. And if James Cavall or Richard Cordray or Miguel Cardona or Toby Merrill or any other people from the Department of Education are watching this, you know what I know. You know what the repayments rates are. You know what the default rates are. And I have to believe that you believe, and I think it's true, that you were not put on this earth to babysit a nationally threatening, I would say nationally wrecking loan monstrosity. I know those names that I just mentioned, I think those are probably pretty good people at heart, but I think that they need to grow a backbone. They need to grow a spine, They need to distance themselves from the swamp, from the student loan sharks who are currently tanking your party, by the way. You need to kick those people out of your office and do the right thing. Quite frankly, the only thing that I can see that would give Biden the new lease on his presidency that he needs is to be honest. Suspend the lending program, no more loans. President Biden should do that. He should direct you to spend the next year or two designing and implementing the next higher education funding model. Hopefully not loans. I would think you have better sense than that. But whatever it is, I trust your instincts to do a fair job. Put the colleges on a direct, I would say, reduced funding for a year and a half, or however long it takes you to sort it out. Hopefully no longer than that. And be done. By the way, apologize, I would say, to the people whose lives you have wrecked, many of whom are on this group here tonight, but tens of millions who are out there. I think that is the sort of refreshing honesty that the American people need to see in order to trust you. And I think that will bring you a long ways from the deep hole that you are in right now. Will there be some angry people? Yeah, there will be about a mile wide and an inch deep of angry people for about 5 minutes, and then they'll move on to the next thing to be insanely angry about, like whatever, transgender, whatever the cause does celeb pissed off lightning rod is. That's going to be how that's going to go. And 25 million Republican and independent student loan borrowers, 85% who were distressed, if not more, are going to thank you. They may not do it loudly, but they're going to thank you. So think about that. Like how sacred is this disgustingly poisonous, catastrophically failed lending system? What is so sacred about this thing that it's worth destroying your own party over? I don't get it. Can somebody please answer that question? Yeah, the people are going to answer that question are the student loan swamp creatures who, Department of Education, President Biden, you need to kick out of your office. They're cancer. They're cancer on you. They're cancer on America. Get rid of them. And same comment to the GOP, by the way. There's a growing little gang of supposedly conservative, even libertarian, wink, wink, Republicans out there saying, no, don't cancel loans. Those people are poison for the GOP. You know, the Democrats are screwed, but I'm here to tell you the GOP is doing everything possible with this little gang of sharks. They're doing everything possible to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory in November. It's quite hilarious, frankly. So, as I said, both parties are playing with fire. Leslie Fishman, hey, Leslie says, same, 0. Vanjie says, that's 25.98. Michael Cheney says, farmers not to plant money. I'm not sure what that means. My student loans, by the way, they identify as PPP loans. Snappy little comeback to the my mortgage identifies as a student loan crowd. Those idiots. Kelly Smith says 100% agree. Quit putting ages, genders, race into this. It's everyone affected. True. This is a African American issue. This is a senior issue. This is a veterans issue. This is a woman's issue. This is a veterinarian's issue. This is a chiropractor issue. This is a red state issue. I kid you not. This is a white person's issue. Most people who have student loans are white, apparently. I don't know. You can slice and dice this thing any way you want. And that only serves to divide us. There's no good reason. Our political diversity is our greatest strength. Hey, R. Eugenio Perez says, hell no, nobody is worse than Biden has been today and yesterday. Yeah, Biden's got a lot of explaining to do. He's got to come clean, and I mean come clean. I don't know if he has it in him. I honestly don't know. Like, do you think Biden has the honesty still in him to say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be honest with you? We screwed up. I screwed up. Many people over the past 40, 50 years screwed up. We should have never taken bankruptcy away. It was, death by 1,000 cuts. You don't really notice it until you're already knee deep in it. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And many other people owe you an apology. I'm going to cancel the loans. I'm going to suspend the lending program. I'm putting the colleges on a diet for a year and a half. I'm telling my staff to reinvent a fair, reasonably priced, rational, not terrible higher education funding model. That's what I'm going to do. I hope you'll forgive me. And that's about the only thing that but what's it going to take to get Biden there? I don't know, guys. I don't know. But it's going to take you, because this stuff does not happen in a vacuum. Doug Grossman says, maybe mention the public educators. Oh, yeah. Good point, Doug. A lot of people got screwed. And while we're mentioning people getting screwed, teachers are screwed. You can't even teach like nursery, elementary school without a master's degree anymore. 99% of all teachers, particularly teachers at for-profit colleges who don't qualify for public service loan forgiveness, but even all teachers who teach at nonprofits, 99% of them were kicked out of PSLF, just like everybody else. The only difference is that teachers typically have to get way more education than other professions. And so adjuncts teaching at colleges, they are just so uniquely screwed. Like, they live in a very special circle of Dante's Inferno on this issue, let me tell you. They're college educated. Most of them have PhDs. They get paid like slaves by the colleges. They have no hope of ever paying off their student loans most of the time. Oh, poor adjuncts. So guys, you know what? I need to cut it short tonight. My live streams have been going way too long lately. Leslie says, hell yeah, we love profanity. Okay. Pardon my French, but I don't like to swear, but I do sometimes. I'm getting my skull ready for a new distress trucker hat, Vanjie says. How true that is. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there at that. I can't keep doing this, but I'll respond to all your comments, looks like almost dozens, if not hundreds of comments at this point. We got this, guys. We got this. Take heart. We're finally winning. We are right on the razor's edge of finally getting S2598 passed and getting loans actually meaningfully, broadly, maybe even totally canceled, guys. It all depends on you. Got to pull your weight. You've got to. That is the most important thing I'll say. Do our daily actions. Do more than our daily actions. Surprise us. A lot of people are surprising us lately, by the way, and I hope to be bragging on them very soon. We got this, guys. I'll be back on Friday. It'll be back on tomorrow. Ed, our fearless co-leader. Buy a shirt. bit.ly/SLJ shirt. Get a hat. bit.ly/collector's item, limited edition hat. bit.ly/cool SLJ hat. And thanks to everybody who's doing stuff. Good luck. Godspeed. God bless everyone. See you on Friday.